Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and we're going to be reading from Matthew chapter 16 and starting at verse 13 today. I'm just reading out of an English translation here, and it says, "When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that you are John the Baptist, and some Elias, and some Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said unto them, But who do you say that I am? Then Simon Peter answered and said, You are the Mashiach." Of course, it says Christ in the English translation here, but he says, You are the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say unto you that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. These verses are so important to understand what is being said here. A lot of people, have a wrong conception of who the church is. Well, they don't really understand the significance of understanding who the church is when Yahushua said that upon this rock, or upon this really revelation is what he's talking about. He's not talking about that he was build his church upon Peter. The Catholic Church claims that, that the church was started by the Apostle Peter, and this is what the church is. And this is by far no means of what's being said here. Yahushua said, if you really read the verses in context and meditate upon what's being said here, Yahushua is telling Peter, or his name in Hebrew, Kepha, that upon this rock, now again, he's talking about upon this foundation. A rock represents a foundation. And he's saying upon this foundation, or this revelation of who he is, because see, that's the whole point of Yahushua asking them this question. He wanted to see and get them to express what their real belief was of who he was. And of course, Peter said, Thou art the Christ, or the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Then the Messiah, or Mashiach, said that flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, Peter, but my Father which is in heaven revealed it to me. And he said he was blessed because he had this revelation of who he was. And he said, upon this revelation, I will build my church. Now, a lot of people have a problem with the word church, and it's just the English word that we use. Keep in mind, Yahushua did not speak in English to them. The original text was really written in Hebrew, even though the text in the New Testament that we have is in Greek. And the Greek word for church here is actually ekklesia. And again, we know that when Yahushua was speaking to his disciples, he would not have been speaking to them in Greek. He would be, because he was a Hebrew, and he was speaking in Hebrew. So, with that said, the actual Hebrew word is kahal, is how the Hebrew word would have been used. Now, the Hebrew word kahal is actually, translated, it means assembly, or it could also mean congregation. So, this is probably the word that Yahushua used in speaking to them about the assembly that he's talking about. But the important thing is not really so much the word, whether it's an English word, Greek word, or Hebrew word. It's important to understand what the word means, and it means an assembly. It's a gathering of people. And Yahushua said that upon the revelation of who he was, that he would build his assembly, or his church. And so it's important as we begin to recognize that it's the revelation that whether you're a Jew, a Gentile, whether you be And of course, you either have to be a Jew or a Gentile. Gentile only means nation, or a set of people. And so that when he uses the term church here, he's talking about, of course, a gathering of believers, whether you're Jew or Gentile, that recognize and understand who the Mashiach is. Understanding that Yahusha is the Son of the living Elohim. And that's why this is so important. And so this is who the church is. It's comprised of Jew and Gentile believers who have come to recognize who the Mashiach is. And this is who the church, that Yahusha said that he was building his church or his assembly upon that revelation. I hope this helps you. We'll get more into this in our next session. Thank you. Shalom.